Good morning. What is good today?
Not my coffee. My coffee was not good today.
You should complain to your barista. Oh, wait, you are. Where is the spiritual life evading you today? Gratitude,
Yes.
Thanksgiving.
No, I didn't complain.
Your barista gave you
about it.
a bigger cup because the barista was under the assumption that the beans that we're using, I'm not under the assumption, but we have the Italian dark roast beans, which you find a bit heavy for you. So I was trying to add more water ratio so that
Right.
it would be more pleasant for you. So the barista got up thinking about you.
Thank you. The barista put a lot of thought into that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be complaining.
Just like your barista puts a lot of thought into everything about you.
I don't want to be complainy.
Well.
But watery bad beans aren't better than... And they're not bad. I never said
so
they
you
were
would
bad.
prefer to have a stronger coffee?
Yeah, I just prefer... Not that they're bad. Hey, William.
Good morning. So you would rather have a coffee that is made the right way.
Correct.
Instead of trying to make changes to suit your taste. Can somebody make a Tim Hortons coffee to suit your taste?
No,
I struggle.
I mean,
what's the best coffee out there in coffee land?
No, I'm pretty easygoing. Like I can drink Tim Hortons. If I'm having a coffee with somebody,
do you know why?
And they want to meet at Tim Hortons, I'll happily have a Tim Hortons dark roast.
Do you know why?
Black.
Do you know why?
Just listen to me. Listen to what I'm saying before you say your own thing.
I'm listening.
I will have a black Tim Hortons, but it can't be too big. Just a small one is fine.
I'm going to go back to the do you
I
know why? Do you know why?
Because I just really want the caffeine.
Oh, at least you're in the know.
Karen is correct that McDonald's is actually pretty decent coffee, but I do not go to McDonald's. I have not been to McDonald's other than going during COVID, going through the drive-through for late night
no
ice cream.
The last time we went to McDonald's we got our needles with our family. We did the Ruby family with Nana and Paul. And then I said to everybody, does anybody want an ice cream? And so we went to McDonald's because I had the phobia of the needle growing up, and we traveled around the world, so we were always getting needles. And it was a big scene for me, but my dad would always give me a chocolate bar, some sort of food reward.
So we took your parents to get their booster shots, and our son, and then our adult son.
I took my parents.
And we all went through the drive
for a treat.
Got ice cream. I do not. I don't go anywhere just to get coffee. Like I don't do drive-through coffee. I'm not in the habit of like...
I've seen you come home with a Starbucks.
Occasionally, I will get a Starbucks because I want a decaf, and I know that it's like a pain to make a decaf at home, but I try to just not spend those couple dollars.
I know that there are many differences between you and me, but I would say one of the biggest differences that you drink coffee for the effect.
I do.
And I drink it for the taste.
I don't
like the effect.
That's not
so the difference between you and me is backwards when it comes to alcohol. I drank alcohol for the effect, and you drank it for the effect.
That's not true that I just drink coffee for the effect, because I also drink decaf, which you very much don't agree with. I like a warm drink, and I don't enjoy
But
tea.
you know that decaf has just as much caffeine? No. Decaf has just as much caffeine as a Coca-Cola.
Not true.
Yeah, look it up. Google it. It has like 30 grams of caffeine. Okay, it might not be true, but decaf has more caffeine than people would think. That's what I think anyway. It's not like a green tea where there's no caffeine. Some people would
say that.
So, like, we can't Google things right now, but somebody Google something about decaf
stop saying
coffee.
That because it's going to start talking to us. All right. Do you want me to read?
Yeah, go ahead.
Today's February 2nd. Don't you want to talk about how quickly this month is going by?
It's already day 2.
Just kidding.
Just read. Why do you gotta make fun? Why do you gotta make fun of people and disrespect their coffee?
Now that it's February, winter's almost over, guys.
We are in the tail end of winter. That is true. I heard you talking yesterday. I heard you talking, and I was going to comment on it because you were saying, "Hey, you see how long the daylight's getting?" And I'm like, "Yeah, exactly. February is the tail end of winter. When February's done, we can be like,
the daylight is very significant for me because I do struggle in the wintertime. Like I'm well aware it's very challenging for me, extra challenging for me to get out of bed. I have
Maybe we should move to the
very
north.
low energy. Things are different in the wintertime. And
maybe you should get out and shovel more and snowshoe.
I don't
don't understand. Read the book.
I don't understand
read our reading. Let's get our contemplative meditation on.
The second step of the 12 is the one that opens the door to understanding and growth. Anyone else notice that now the book is talking about step 2? And
okay, say it again.
We're in the second month of the year. So this month.
The caffeine just hit me and I missed.
This book is going to talk about step 2 this month.
Here we go. Start over.
The second step of the 12 steps is the one that opens the door to understanding and growth. Once we have admitted our helplessness and our inability to manage our lives, then we are ready to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Do I find it shocking to admit that my thinking was not sane, that I reacted in an unreasonable manner to the alcoholic's activities? Let me look back at the first step for proof. But now I realize there is available to me a power to which I can turn for help. This is a power greater than we are. If we accept this, we gain a more realistic insight into our relation to the universe. Today's reminder: I can attain real dignity, importance, and individuality only by admitting my dependence on a power which is great and good beyond anything I can imagine or understand. I want to use this help in making all my decisions. Even though my little human mind cannot figure out what the outcome will be, I am confident that whatever comes will be for my ultimate good. Prayer for today. Thank God I am not dependent on my own resources alone. Having tried to bring order and meaning into my life without God's help, I will now step aside and let Him take over.
There's so much to that.
So much.
My first thought is that's the entry fee into a new life of going from the addictive life of ease and comfort to the spiritual life. So the spiritual life, and this was a meditation that we did this morning.
What's the entry fee?
I'm trading the addictive life for the spiritual life, and the entry fee is the belief of in God, and not in me or in alcohol. So I'm trading the life of ease and comfort for the life of suffering and altruism. And so it's very different. And what we were talking about this morning is if we still have that mind frame of I do need ease and comfort, then we will be getting ease and comfort from the world around us. But the spiritual life isn't a life of ease and comfort, because ease says, what was ease again? I wrote it down. The definition of ease. Oh, no, I don't have it.
Good morning, Eleanor. And Saskia.
The definition of ease was absence of difficulty or effort. But the spiritual life is not that. It requires lots of effort. It requires giving and loving the world around you, and prayer and meditation and fasting and all of the spiritual principles and practices.
So it's about acceptance that the world and life is not going to get easier, but that with God's help, I will be able to actually get through the difficulties that I need to get through.
And because I have my big book right beside us, that reminded of something else we were reading this morning, was the third guy in Alcoholics Anonymous. And he was a lawyer. He was down and out. He was in the hospital and there was no hope for him. And so the early newcomers of AA brought this message to him. And day one, they just shared their experience of what alcohol did to them, tried to relate to them. And he just says, like, good for you guys. That there's no hope for me. The second day they came and gave him the solution. So the entry fee of recovery is a relationship with God. And he just said, like, well, God never did anything for me. I went to church. There's no hope. And then the third day they came back and he just said, maybe you're right. This is what he said. Maybe you're right. I've been thinking it over. He said, God ought to be able to do anything. Then he added, he sure didn't do much for me when I was trying to fight this booze racket alone. On the third day, the lawyer gave his life to the care and direction of his creator. So he gave his life. This is the entry fee to a new life. Gave his life to the care and direction of his creator, and said he was perfectly willing to do anything necessary. His wife came scarcely daring to be hopeful, though she thought she saw something different about her husband already. He had begun to have a spiritual experience. That afternoon, the man put on his clothes and walked from the hospital a free man. That, like, in 3 days. And so the entry fee into a new life is the belief in God, that God can do for me what I can't do for myself. I think that's a beautiful story. Beautiful.
And if we're wrestling with that, the book takes us through a process of understanding. I like there's a line in the big book about contempt prior to investigation, which is like, oh man, I got contempt prior to investigation about all sorts of things. But for sure, that's what we saw on day 2, when he said, well, I went to church and God didn't do anything for me. Going to church isn't going to do that for me. Going to church is not the goal. Like, we always have a saying, just because you park in a garage doesn't make you a car.
But it's the same as meetings. Like, going to meetings isn't going to change your life either. It's going to be God. So I go to church and I go to meetings with the hope that I have the experience of the spiritual solution, and I pass on that message at the meetings. I don't go to the meetings to get it. I go to give it. And so the spiritual life, the entry fee into recovery is the acceptance of God and his spirit, and that's what I'm connecting to. And then we go through the process and figure out how electricity works. We go through inventory and all that stuff to actually grow in our understanding of that.
We explore that more at our Wednesday noon meeting, and I think that's actually what Deanna's going to be talking about today at noon.
Yeah, join us at noon.
Anyone can come on the Zoom, or you can listen to the old recordings on our podcast,
the YouTube and the podcast, Ashes to Rubies. So join us today at 12 Eastern time. Deanna is going to be sharing. So it's a 20-minute share and then a time of being able to relate to that subject. So join us if you can. We will see you at noon. Until then, keep the peace, be of good behavior, and wash your